Guys, good afternoon. Hey, it's Tom here. Hey, it's exactly 1 o'clock, March 28th, 2013. Hey, thanks for jumping on the call. It looks like we've got a very much abbreviated attendance as we've had in the past, which is normal. It is time that for the most part. I know the winter and spring seems to be kind of going on forever. And I know some of you guys still aren't even out on the road. I know that we wouldn't be able to be here. And I'm looking at the list. I'm looking at the list of guys, and I'm seeing some northern guys on there. Some guys probably still skiing as opposed to doing lawn care. But we do have a much abbreviated list, and that doesn't that doesn't mean anything other than the fact that some guys are out working right now. So I did want to start by saying, for the most part, as we do get towards the beginning of the actual treatment period, round one, as we're out on the road doing round one, I'm going to really turn it over to you to let me know what it is that you want to talk about. We will always talk about products and future products, and Scott had sent out an email saying that we talk about some of the summertime products, and we'll touch on that a little bit. But it is still relatively early to really hit on those things, in a significant sort of way. So, as we do get going, I know last year we ran these calls really until the middle of April, and then right around the middle third week of April, I'd log on and there'd be nobody here because, you literally are out working and running around and acting crazy. So we've got to this point. If you haven't made it happen yet, you're running out of time to make it happen. If that sounds a little scary to you, I'm sorry, but we're getting there. There's a lot of work that should have been done, and there's still a lot of work to be done. But now is the time where you have to make it happen in terms of actually, applications and that sort of thing. So, for the most part, I'm gonna leave it up to you guys as to what you want to talk about in regards to questions. And please, it would make my job a little bit easier if you would tell me exactly what it is you have on your mind. Before we get to that, I wanted to mention a couple of articles that I thought were really good that I noticed over the last week or so. One is here in Turf Magazine. It's called Soil Health: The Next Big Trend. Integrating biologicals into your program is smart, simple, and cost-effective. Well, the next big trend. I mean, that's good news for all of us because that is exactly what we're doing. This is kind of a long article, but it's pretty simplified and talks a lot about many of the things that we talk about every day. I think that perhaps the industry is beginning to take a little bit of a turn in our direction is no doubt a good thing. Because I always say we're way ahead of the curve. And you know what? This particular article here doesn't necessarily talk about organic, not organic, bad pesticides, good pesticides, chemicals, anything like that. It talks about how a lot of the products and things that we do, how they're just flat out good for turf. And it doesn't make any mention of the ongoing battle that a lot of us have, or that some people have with organic versus chemical. Because sometimes, to me, that gets in my way a little bit. And I am all for, as you guys know, I'm all for reducing pesticides, reducing chemicals. We want to do the right thing for the environment and for the health and everything else. But sometimes, I guess especially flat out, end of March, beginning of April, I'm all about the business. And it's about making sales. It's about getting product down. It's about making grass look nice. Sometimes we don't want to leave that behind. We're all in this business because we have customers and potential customers. We have homeowners and clients who like to have nice grass. And that sometimes just sounds flat out silly, but that's what we're doing here. We want to create nice turf for our customers to run around on and have barbecues on and play football on. And that's what we want to do. Don't ever lose sight of that. So this article here is pretty good because it talks about a lot of the philosophy and theory that we often talk about in regards to how we want to make that grass look good. So I won't read it right now. I mean, it is kind of long. I believe it was written by a guy who works for an agricultural supply company. So it's good. Check it out. The second one I wanted to mention I really liked a lot. I really liked a lot. You know what? I'll put links up on the lawn business site here too. I already did for this one. I didn't for Turf Magazine yet. This one was in a magazine called Conservation. This is a hippie advocacy type magazine. I think it's from the University of Wisconsin. I could be wrong. I can't remember if it's Wisconsin. It's a university publication. It was on my counter last week, and Megan, one of my daughters, was home from school for spring break. She's an environmental studies major, and she's really into this kind of stuff. So it's not like she showed me the magazine. She just happened to leave it behind. And I was flipping through it, and there's a really good article about fertility. And right here, it says, when Fritz Haber first showed the world how to fix nitrogen from thin air, the results were earth-shattering. Synthetic fertilizer fueled the green revolution and set off a population bomb. Now, 100 years later, we need another soil fertility breakthrough, one without the ecological casualties. So this particular article in this particular publication has nothing to do with lawn care at all. It's not an industry magazine. It's not even talking about grass. It's talking about agriculture. But what it's really talking about is how there's a good difference, or how there's a need for something other than urea. At least let me rephrase that. That's what it comes off looking as. And we read it. It's not a terribly long article, and it's sort of written in an intellectual way. This is sort of an intellectual magazine, but you got to read it. I'll tell you what the end result is, the end message is that it doesn't necessarily have to be about chemical versus organic, and the chemical ag companies fighting the organic ag companies. It has to be about compromise and how the chemical people need to accept the fact that we need to begin to introduce some organic methods, and I'm just flat out talking agronomic and agricultural, into our food supply, our source of our food supply, and how some of the organic people need to accept the fact that an occasional use of something that contains urea is acceptable as well. And it's difficult because we're right in the middle, at least in our industry right now, we're in the middle, not even the beginning. I remember the beginning, but we're in the middle of this battle between chemical companies thinking we're trying to hurt the industry and the real organic people thinking that the chemical people are the devil themselves. And some of them are. Some of them are, and I won't get into my feelings on Monsanto and that whole deal, but when it comes right down to it, we need to all have a little bit of compromise. And you know that I don't encourage you to try to really sell your services as an advocate. And some of you do, and I think that's okay. I mean, there's certainly a niche for that. But you've heard me say it a million times. Please don't ever lose a customer because you refuse to do something that they want. That will prevent us from moving forward all the time. You have to be able to appeal to the general public altogether. And when you do raise your fist and say you'll never spray another weed ever again, and for those who do, they're evil, you're turning more people off than you should be turning off. So this was one of the best articles I've read on this subject in a long time. And sometimes it gets a little I mean, for those of you who read Lawn and Landscape magazine and even in Turf magazine, if you've been around for any length of time, it gets a bit repetitive. It's not exactly fun reading. It's the same thing over and over. So it was good to kind of go outside the industry a little bit and read this from a different perspective. I will put these on the lawn business side. I believe I already did. I already put the Conservation magazine one up. I'll put the Turf magazine one up too. Please read it. I think you'll get some good information from it. Okay, how's marketing going, guys? Is there anything anybody wants to bring up? Let me open up my questions pane here a little bit and see if anybody wants to. Hey, all right, good. A couple questions. Hey, Sarah. I talked to somebody as a result of your work today, and I want to thank you. Peter, up at Brunswick Parks and Rec Department. Thank you. I think you were talking to them about you guys potentially working on their turf, and it looks like you keep it in-house, and they inquired about a couple of products, so thank you for that. Again, all right, listen, what I'll mention here, and I've mentioned it before, and I'll continue to mention it, is that Go Green Landscaping up in Maine is working hard to advertise large-scale, municipal-type, university-type, campus-type care, and they're making some great progress, but they do have all of the equipment to be able to make it happen. So if any of you would also like to advertise and try to sell to large municipalities, to large campuses, for instance, this Brunswick, Maine here has, I wrote down 20 acres, but I think it's even more than that. I think it was 30 acres or so. This is municipal athletic field work that you can't necessarily really do just with your spray tank. These guys at Go Green have made the investment in all of the equipment to do it, and they're actually being very successful at it. So if you have any customers or you have any desire to put estimates out there to try to get some of this work, Dave wanted me to mention, and I said this last week too, that he will travel to, he's willing to travel to do a 20-acre job, and he will, work something out with you guys. So, okay, Peter, good question. Let me read it and see if I can figure it out in my head before I answer it. So, if anybody else has any other questions about anything, please type them in. But we've got a question about calibration, and I usually have to work that out on my calculator. 200-gallon tank, calibrated at 2 gallons per minute with a spread rate of 1,000 square feet per minute. How much to add? So that's with a 20-0-0. Which is what? What rate are we using for that? Is that a 10 ounces per 1,000 square feet, I think? Peter, so 9. Somebody's telling me 9 ounces. So 9 ounces per 1,000 square feet. You're spraying at 2 gallons per minute. Oh, the spread rate. If you're spraying at 2 gallons per minute, you're going to get 1.5 gallons per 1,000 square feet. So if you've got your 2 gallon per minute nozzle on, you're going to spray it at about 1.5 gallons per 1,000 square feet. That's usually the way it works out. And again, there's nothing wrong with measuring out 1,000 square feet in your, Kevin, I know. Whoa, what am I doing here? Kevin, I asked people to ask questions, and Kevin Butchko says, when is it going to stop snowing and become spring? I don't know, Kev. It's funny, and I'm bouncing around now, so forgive me, but it's, it's been very, very cold here, and I have my internal clock is very much set on April 1st. And we would always need to start spraying lawns on April 1st, and believe it or not, I think they probably could. There's still snow out there, but I'd have the trucks loaded up, ready to go. So it's actually not terribly late. It just feels awful. It's been so cold and gross that everything is very late. And what makes it worse is when we compare it to last year, it is even worse. It just feels horrible. So I don't know the answer to that, Kev. Soon. I do know. Actually, I do know the answer to that. Soon, like any minute. When it's any minute. Winter's over. It's spring. It's here. And if you're starting tomorrow, then you answered your own question. It's done. Let me go back to calibration for a minute. A 200-gallon tank with a 2-gallon per minute nozzle on it is going to allow you to spray it about 1.5 gallons per 1,000 square feet. So go ahead and do that bucket test. Time it, get a bucket, get your hose, make sure that you're spraying 1 gallon in 30 seconds. Like mark off the gallon, look at a stopwatch, and spray. Calibrate it appropriately with your pressure. Make sure that you're getting that 1 gallon per 30 seconds. Then measure out 1,000 square feet out in your parking lot and time yourself spraying until you get it just right. So a 200-gallon tank spraying at 1.5 gallons per 1,000 square feet is going to treat 133,000 square feet. So all I did there was I took 2 gallons and divided it by 1.5. That's 133,000 square feet. Sorry about this message that keeps popping up here. 133,000 square feet at 9 ounces per 1,000 square feet. Take 133 times 9 is 1,197 ounces, or about 10 gallons. You're going to put 10 gallons in that tank. So you just got to run the math out and make sure you're checking how much you spray against your square footage every day too. If you're going out with 200 gallons and you're supposed to spray 133,000 square feet and you run out at 75,000 square feet, you better make an adjustment, because over the course of a whole round, that's going to use up a lot of extra product. Always note what you go out with and note what you come back with, and make sure you're spraying appropriately. So, Peter, does that answer your question? Okay, good. Yeah, just run the math. So, and I'm not so good at math either, but so sometimes I have to, kind of quiet things down and do it. 2 gallons per minute is going to be at about 1.5 gallons per 1,000 square feet. 1.5 gallons per 1,000 square feet on a 200-gallon tank is going to be 133,000 square feet. 133 times 9, I forget what it was now, divided by 120 for ounces per gallon will give you gallons. And you're golden. "13 inches of snow last Sunday." Yeah, that one missed us actually. That one ended up going south of us. But yeah, I think I'm calling winter off. It's officially off. Get out there and spray. Another question here, and thank you for asking the questions. Bill, what soil amendments can't you mix with B-Safe products? Would lime kill microbes? Can customers with city water the same day? Will the chlorine be a problem? All really awesome questions. Let's talk about lime first. Lime will not kill microorganisms. However, I've never been a huge fan of any liquid lime product. If you're talking about putting lime in your tank, that's different than like a liquid calcium. You can get a liquid calcium which will do sort of the same thing. It's sort of the equivalent of lime. The calcium will help lower the acid. It'll raise pH. Liquid lime products have always been known, even though it's liquid lime, if it's a real liquid lime, it's just really, really fine, ground up stone. Which will separate out too. It will reduce. I guess I don't know this firsthand. I've never really never done the complete study on this, but I have been told, or it is kind of commonly spoken, that a liquid lime product will reduce the life of your tank drastically, because it is still stone fine stone, even sand, I guess you could call it, cranking through the diaphragms and the pump and the tank and the hoses and the motor and everything. So liquid lime is not always looked on fondly as being the best option. If you put lime down granularly, if you use a calcitic lime, which I always encourage you to do, unless your magnesium is way, way off, then you're going to want to use a dolomitic, but 9 times out of 10, calcitic limestone. It will not hurt the microorganisms. It will help the microorganisms. Microorganisms want a neutral soil. So the more neutral that soil is, the more happy your microorganisms are going to be. Next question, can customers with city water water the same day? Will the chlorine be a problem? That's a little bit of a loaded question because in most cases, the chlorine levels in city water are not going to be high enough to have a negative effect on the microorganisms most of the time. If you do have a concern, it might not hurt to check the chlorine, but I have never once considered it an issue for a city water line to water a lawn after the microorganisms have been applied and there to be a problem. The reason Bill is asking is because chlorine has been known to really have a negative impact on compost tea. A lot of compost tea brewers try to dechlorinate their water prior to making compost tea. And compost tea is different, or a little bit different than what we're talking about because it's very, very unstable. You're really kind of bringing things to life from nothing with a compost tea by providing a food, a source of compost, oxygen, and everything has to be just right. The microorganisms in our products have been stabilized. They're dormant. They're in solution. They will come out of dormancy when oxygen is available to them, and very, very seldom do the numbers drop off significantly once they're exposed to the environment. So to answer your question, no, I don't think so. I wouldn't see a situation ever in which watering your soil, watering the turf after an application, would it have a negative impact on the microorganisms. It's not to say it's impossible, but it's very unlikely. Sal, good question. Listen, Sal, I owe you an email from the other day, and I'll answer both questions right here. And the one from email will be by memory. Can we replace one application with insect control to be part of the whole package instead of charging extra for the insect application? You could. You know, you can do anything you want, and that's one of the benefits of working with a dealer network as opposed to a franchise. You could do a peanut butter and jelly sandwich application if you wanted to. I'm not sure I would. Here's my opinion on this one, Sal. I think that you ought to maximize your revenue. So I don't think I would automatically include it. I don't think I would replace an application with insect control unless you've got a horrible problem with one insect that it's an issue across all of your lawns. When I sell an insect control application, I sell it as ant, flea, and tick. And that is not necessarily a turf-damaging insect. I sell it as an ant, flea, and tick treatment because I know lots of customers don't like ants, they don't want fleas, and they're afraid of ticks. Oh, okay, Sal. Nope, that he was asking about a weed application, weed control application, and that was the emails. So insect. Well, let's talk about insect control application for a minute. Yeah, don't automatically do it. Sell it because people will buy it. They'll buy up to 3 a year. With weed control, I think, Sal, I think we had talked about doing for you, and lots of guys do a supplemental chemical weed control application as a guarantee, which isn't organic. So the question is about weed control, and lots of you guys have asked about this recently too. Lawn care customers, people who hire you to take care of their lawn, expect that you're going to control weeds. So you have to be prepared to do the best you can to control weeds. And weeds are going to control, crabgrass, dandelions, clover. People expect that when they hire you to take care of the lawn that you're going to get rid of weeds. Now, every weed doesn't just magically germinate on the same day, 3 days before you do the treatment so that you can do a blanket application and make them go away. Weeds are going to germinate every day, all year, and that's why people hire you to take care of them. So you're always going to want to have a hand can or a backpack of both of the weed controls on the truck all the time. You're going to want to have Adios and you're going to want to have Fiesta in the truck every day, all the time. And I'm not talking about blanket applications. I don't know what was up with that. I'm talking about spot treatment. So you're going to go to a lawn, it's going to have 12 dandelions on it. You're going to grab your hand can of Fiesta and you're going to go squirt each one of those dandelions. Some people have suggested that if they've got a very serious issue with weeds, if it's a weed-infested lawn, if it's all crabgrass, if it's got everything, it's going to cost you a ton of money because the Fiesta and the Adios are expensive. What I would suggest doing there is trying to sell them a supplemental application of chemical weed control. So that's the one step backwards to take 2 steps forwards routine. Most of the time, people aren't going to be accepting of the fact that you're going to charge them extra for weed control, unless 2 things. 1, their lawn is completely polluted with weeds. A lot of times they want them gone sooner than later. 2 properly timed applications of blanket weed control, chemical weed control, will eliminate every weed. It's not a great idea. It's certainly not organic. It's not good for the environment, not good for the kids. But it might help you keep a customer and keep them to be more organic all the way down the line. So if you got a lawn that's polluted with weeds, it's going to take you all year long to spot treat them out of there, or you can eliminate them altogether. The chances are that if you don't eliminate them all at once, the customer is going to get frustrated. They're going to say, what do I have you here doing? I've got tons of weeds. Be honest with them. Say, I'm suggesting that I do a blanket app of weed control, and I'm going to charge you for it. That's a little different than what most people do, because with a chemical lawn care service, with the TruGreen or anybody else, it's part of the program that they're going to control every single weed. Now, a lot of times they don't. A lot of times it's oversold. The sales guy is not being honest with the customer, and the weeds are a big problem. Trust me, a lawn care service customer is hiring you to control weeds. They expect that you will spray weeds. So buck up, and that's right. Do not charge for spot treatment. That is or should be. Again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm giving you my suggestions. Spot treatment of weed control should be included with everything that you do. It should not be an extra charge. Every time you do an application, you're going to do the regular application, then you're going to go back to the truck and grab your hand can and then spray whatever you need to spray. My suggestion is that with dandelions, you use Fiesta, and with everything else, you use Adios. Question is, which organic product would be best for control of wild violets? Wild violets are going to be very similar to the reaction you're going to get from Fiesta or Adios is going to be very similar to 3-way, Cool Power, Momentum, Triplet, any other weed control that you're using. They're hard to control. The reason wild violets are hard to control is because they got a very waxy cuticle. The leaf is very waxy, but then there's also what's known as a ball root. So the root from the wild violet is going to go down about 3 inches in a single root, turn into a ball, and then from that ball, more roots come out from it. So it's hard to get any weed control down through that initial primary root down to the ball to kill it. So as you know, when you have got a property that's loaded with wild violets, you can spray them one time, be back 6 weeks later, and it doesn't look like you even touched them, especially if it's the summertime, because that waxy cuticle of the leaf is really shut down to conserve moisture. So I would suggest Adios for that. How about this? Maybe a combination of the both. If you really, really got to get rid of wild violets, and I've never tried this before, maybe somebody can and let me know how it goes. Combination of Fiesta and Adios, maybe that'll wipe them out. Be careful though with the amount you use, because if you overdo it, you might affect the turf, you know, that they're growing around. But wild violets, ground ivy, those ball root type weeds are always going to be difficult. All right. I love these questions, guys. Keep them coming. Can we use Milorganite as a granular fertilizer instead of corn gluten? You can use peanut butter and jelly. I was waiting for a laugh for the peanut butter and jelly joke. I had to look over at Dick, and he was laughing. What's up, Dick? He's across the office. Bring in the laugh track, baby. I got the laugh track right here. Good question, though, Kevin. Yeah, you can, sure. Somebody's asking about the rate of peanut butter and jelly. Nope, not gonna tell you. Can we use Milorganite instead of corn gluten? When it comes down to cost, it's hard not to, right? Because the cost of corn gluten is just ridiculous. It's too much. I hate it. Or any other granular fertilizer. That's what we're in the business to do, is to try to get away from granular organics, right? That's what we're trying to do, because they cost too much. Milorganite or any biosolid, you're right, he's not laughing. Milorganite or any biosolid is not organic. It is absolutely not organic. In fact, the organic standards, and I always refer to NOFA, totally frown upon it because it's sewage, you know, and there's lots of issues that go along with it. Heavy metals, you know, it's just crap. But it's like 1/10 of the cost of a granular product. And it works. The results are really nice too. We spent a lot of time using biosolids at Lawn Dog. I mean, we went through tons and tons and tons and tons, and that's kind of what ticked me off, because we call them organic and they're not. Yeah, you can, Kevin. You'll get good results. You combine a Milorganite or a biosolid app with a growth activator, or even the biological component in the 702, and it's gonna look nice, because what happens is those microorganisms in our bioactive products are going to break down that biosolid slowly and release it immediately. So both, unlike a urea where you're going to get a quick release and it's going to go away, the bugs in the growth activator will break down that Milorganite right away, begin to turn it into plant available nitrogen, but it will also, as it breaks it down, that nitrogen will really be sequestered and maintained by the soil biology community, and will release very slowly over the course of 60 days. So bios are not organic, but they are just so inexpensive, it's hard to ignore. I've had a couple of people use biosolids or Milorganite and be really happy with the results. Could it be considered a rescue treatment? That's not a bad point. That's not a bad point. If we've got a very chlorotic lawn, if we've got a lawn that is starving for nitrogen, if we've got the addict metaphor here, if we're converting a chemical lawn to an organic lawn, and it isn't turning green, it's addicted to nitrogen, yeah, I could justify that. You know, I really sometimes wish, I have my own feelings about Milorganite and biosolids, just because I can still smell them, to be honest with you. We went through tons and hundreds of tons of it, and it was so cheap, and it just kind of, I didn't think it was great for the employees to be pushing them around and breathing the dust every day, and they still do even now. I took exception to it. So I don't like them, but if you're only using them sparingly, I guess it's probably not a huge issue, because what I'm saying is I sometimes, yeah, right, thanks. I sometimes wish the NOFA standards would relax a little bit, and the chemical standards would, or the chemical people would accept some of these things as being useful. So if you need to find a way to sleep better at night and call Milorganite a rescue treatment because the NOFA gods are looking on you and they know you're trying to say something, yeah, sure. Milorganite's a rescue treatment. That's not a bad idea, bad way to look at it. I think Kevin was probably asking about in his premium customers, because he's probably looking at the price of a granular corn gluten somewhere, and it's probably $40 a bag. Almost $2,000 a pallet, and he's going, yeah. Yeah, and Kevin is confirming that. Yeah. So that necessarily wouldn't be an organic, wouldn't be a rescue treatment. It would be part of the program. You know what, Kevin? If you're going to do that, I would just, you might want to mention it. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Your call. I'm running away from that one. Tina, hi. I didn't even know that you were on the call. You must have just jumped on. Tina Montone is reminding us that Milorganite is calling itself organic. You're opening up a can of worms here that we often open, because there is no true standard. You could call whatever you want organic. Organic, by the pure definition of the word, is, oh, don't be sorry. It's okay. You probably didn't miss much. Organic, by the pure definition of the word, is anything that's carbon-based, which is basically everything on the planet. So, it's a very, very open-ended definition. There are not any legal standards for what we do. So I always defer to the most conservative standards. Yeah, uranium is organic. You're right. So I always refer to the most conservative standards, which is NOFA, and it kind of pisses me off sometimes, because sometimes it's too conservative. But I think just as a general rule, it's a good idea. Most people would consider Milorganite not organic, but there's no law that says that they can't call it organic. And Tina gives us the website. I spelled it wrong. So I figured I'd just plug it in and see what happens. Milorganite. Anything else? What's up, guys? Are any other questions I can answer? We got mixing questions. We got product questions. Product order. Some of you still haven't ordered product. If you haven't ordered product, round one product yet, I really suggest you do, because even though it has been very lousy out, it has been cold, it has been snowy, it still takes us 2 to 3 weeks to make the product and get it to you. So if you continue to wait, it's going to be the end of April, the beginning of May, and you're still not going to have had any product in-house. And you know what's going to happen in late springs? In about a month, we're going to be saying, oh my God, we had no spring. It's 90 degrees. It went from winter to summer. LOL. Cliche, cliche. So for those of you who have not ordered any product yet, I'm thinking you probably should. For those of you who ordered product early, that's awesome, and start thinking about round two, because that's still the 3-week turnaround still applies. Get your 702 and your kelp. Does anybody have any other issues with product? Is anybody putting together any good bids? Anybody working on any good big bids or anything? Anything I can help out with? I'm going to get off this. I don't know if I'd be growing turnips with Milorganite. I'm looking at the Milorganite website here. You know, everybody, that Milorganite is human waste. I'm not sure my turnips and Milorganite are awesome. I'm getting out of here. Come on, you guys. What else? Anybody working on any good bids I can help with? Oh, Hadlock Field tomorrow. That's right. Yeah, baby. Sarah Wiley and Dave Malewski up in Maine putting together an estimate for Hadlock Field, the AA home of your Boston Red Sox. Wait, are the Portland, they AA or single A? Hey, Dick, Sea Dogs AA or single A? AA? Yeah, Ellsbury was there. All of our guys, all Lowell Spinners are single A. That's right. Papelbon was there. Yep, all those guys were down there. So that's awesome, man. I hope you get that, or I hope you get something. Tina with Rodale, you just got to keep trying. You just got to keep trying with that, because that is that if you get into the Rodale Institute, they are the top of the food chain when it comes to organic anything. The Rodale Institute is the voice of reason for organic agriculture, and to have the #1 lawn guy be able to get in there and do something with them, I mean, that would be a score beyond scores. That would be huge. So don't get yeah, you might need a new door to knock on. You might be right. Don't get discouraged with that, because that would be you know, that's a monster. That's a monster to get. All right, awesome. We got all kinds of things popping in here right now. The 702. 702. Let's talk about that real quick. Just a fertilizer, biologically enhanced fertilizer. You need it for round 2. Nitrogen derived from protein hydrolysate as a result of composted plant material and fish. 31 strains of active soil improving microorganisms. The sum total of the 2 inputs far exceeds the single. 17,000 postcards going out Monday. Good timing. Yeah, perfect. Held it off. School estimates are good. Big hospitals, 400,000 square feet. Peter, if you need help, just let me know. If you need me to make a call, or if you need me to as a reference, I'm happy to do it. Here's a good one. Our program says to aerate in the fall. Should we not do it in the spring for new customers? Aeration. Many years, when I was a kid, many years we told people that we didn't want to aerate in the spring because we felt that it would produce more weed germination. We said that it would break the crabgrass barrier. It would puncture holes in it. It would bring weed seeds to the surface. It took me about 10 years to figure out that was just people who taught me lawn care. That was a way for them to say, we don't have time to aerate in the spring. And it is kind of a hassle. Well, when you've got as many customers back at Barefoot Grass, when in April or round 1, where you just you're working 6 days a week trying to do 40 lawns a day, it's hard. It's all hands on deck. It's hard to get an aerator on the truck and go do a one aeration job. Aeration in the springtime is as beneficial as it is in the fall. The biggest difference, though, Jim, is that you don't want to do a lot of overseeding with high expectations in the spring. It's always best to overseed after you aerate. It's just that most of the time that seed in the springtime isn't going to make it through summer. So I experimented with some annual rye last year to try to block out some weeds, and I was really, really happy with the results. I aerated and seeded with an annual rye. It came up and it was really, really thick, but annual rye is going to wimp out and go away as soon as August arrives. But it kind of filled in some bare areas, and it did deal with some weed preventative. It was a good idea, but don't get your expectations up. So you can aerate in the spring, sure. If you can get the aerator out there and you got people who want you to do it and they'll pay for it, and even overseeding is a good idea. Just don't oversell the results of any seeding in the springtime. It's not going to make it through the summer. Brian, I will check on that for you. I will check on that for you, stat. And I'm glad if you've got some good HOA bids out there. Hopefully you'll get them. Oh, and a hospital too. That's awesome. Again, the offer is there if for a reference or a phone call. If anytime, if it helps you get a job, let me know. I'm not flying out there to talk to them, but if I can do anything to help, let me know, and I will find out what's up with or where your product is in the pipeline. Question is, does Osborne's program DVDs have anything different in it to help us? I've never looked at CHIP's DVDs. I guess it's always helpful. I mean, I've sat through CHIP's presentation. I don't think I can anymore. I've sat through it so long. But yeah, it probably does. I don't know exactly what's in it, Bill, but I think that it would help you. He's a smart guy. Probably the smartest guy I've ever met, actually. So yeah, it would help. I don't know what's in it, but I bet you it would be good. All right. Okay. Good question, Jim. I've talked a lot about the new starter fertilizer. How do I recommend utilizing it? I think I have that open, or I've got something open here. You could use it on your annuals and perennials. It's a great idea. Let's open this up. I sent this out to you guys, right? I did. Let's look at this though, because it will talk about it. Bill, about tracking your order, we're not technologically savvy enough that I can just give you something to track it, but if you talk to Maureen, she can give you a tracking number. If it's shipped, if the order has shipped, if it's left the lab, she'll give you a tracking number for the freight company that's carrying it. And we don't use just one particular trucking company. We'll always use the cheapest one. So it changes a lot, but she'll be able to give you some tracking information. If you want to call the office and talk to Maureen, she can help you out with that. But we don't have like a fancy login to see where your product is. You're gonna have to talk to Maureen. So how can we use the organic start? This thing, I put these rates here on purpose because I anticipated that you may want to use it in other applications other than just on new seed. So if you're ornamental installation, for one thing. So if you're planting trees or shrubs or anything around the landscape, this is the rate you would use. If you want to use a deep root, if you want to put it in a tank and use it as a deep root feeding after you've installed those ornamentals, this is what it would be. If you want to use it on annuals and perennials, you could. And I would probably go with this rate, and I would use it as a soil drench around the annuals and the perennials. If you have a good deal of annual or perennial installation, we put together a program actually for our dealer applicator down in Louisiana because they had a good account with the city of Baton Rouge to fertilize all of the annuals and perennials and ornamentals around the city. So all of these products, or the majority of these products, are multi-use. When I started putting this together, I won't lie, I stole a lot of it from organic agriculture, from large-scale organic agriculture. We tried to figure out how big organic farms, were beginning to ramp up production. and it's all about the soil. But there's also more inputs beyond just the soil, because when you're talking about ag, you have to talk about blooms, right? When something flowers, think about a tomato plant, or how about zucchini? That's bigger flower. When that thing starts to flower, and it's not a lot different than an annual or a perennial, that plant's going to use a lot of energy. It's going to use a lot of energy and need other elements besides just nitrogen to create large flowers. Those flowers then turn into a fruit or a seed, and then those plants require different, or that phase of growth is a different requirement for N, P, and K. So what we did with down in Baton Rouge is we put together a kind of a plan that used some of a product like this starter fertilizer. We were using a deep root, that deep root 335 in the beginning for the ornamentals. We had a growth activator version or a bioscience powder version with mycorrhizal fungi in it, which really helped with root development. But if you're just talking about flowers, the most important thing you can do is fertilize. So at planting, this starter fertilizer would be perfect. When they're beginning to grow, you could use a 702. When they're beginning to flower and they're beginning to bloom, go crazy with that kelp. That kelp concentrate will make things bloom earlier. It'll make those blooms brighter, and it'll make the blooms last longer. The micronutrients and the chlorophyll production and everything in that kelp as a biostimulant will really make those annuals and perennials stand out. So, hopefully that answers some of the questions. Jim, if you want to talk about that in more depth, I definitely will. I could even dig up that plan we did for, down south. It was a bunch of different plants that kind of out of my knowledge base. I had to seek some help with it in terms of nitrogen and in terms of nutrient requirements for trees and shrubs that were growing in Baton Rouge. But we put some time into it, and I think we did all right. So the kelp is awesome for flowers. Long-winded answer, sorry. You know who else used Frank, are you here? Frank the Tank. Tell Frank the Tank's been busy because he's not been bothering me. Frank in Kentucky has a huge account, and I don't even know with who or with what, but some city or town out there where he does do all of the annuals, and he's got a specific program for them. And we built it around kelp and 702, and we didn't have the starter fertilizer yet. But if you want, I can ask him what he did. I will, actually. All right. What else we got here? Thanks for asking all these questions, guys. Yeah, kelp. Yeah, baby. It's awesome. NOFA's having a Managing Soil Nitrogen workshop April 8th at Duke Farm. Kevin, that's all you. I think that you should pack up the family, head over to the NOFA workshop, and get yourself some good vegan food. We were having we had a NOFA workshop here. We had one planned 2 weeks ago, last week, that we had to cancel because of the snow. I like NOFA. I like my personal beliefs are with NOFA. Sometimes it's frustrating because they're a little bit too extreme. But if you ever do have a chance to go to a NOFA event, I definitely suggest it. And really cool, nice people too. Yeah, you might find some hemp growers at a NOFA conference. It's possible. As a source of paper, as a source of grain, I think that there's a big future in it. Sarah says, can you guys put our individual logos on the info sheets because the facilities guys want that info in hand to go over? Not sure what you mean by that, Sarah. If individual logos on the info sheets, You can put your logo on any info sheet you want. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. You can feel free to use any logo anytime on anything you want. And I don't know what info sheets are. We can make some info sheets. I haven't talked to Dave in a while, Sarah. Is he all right? Losing his mind? All right. Holy cow, it's 2 o'clock. That was awesome. Anything else? Yeah, okay, Sarah. Yeah, sure. Actually, yeah, definitely. I'll send you the Word version of it. What Sarah was asking was some of the info sheets, the sales sheets, or if you need to get information to a potentially big account, or they're really into what the products are made of. I'll get you the Word document. You can put your logo on there too. Sure, definitely. Kind of be a little careful with who and where you share them, because as you know, we're kind of careful with letting our information get out there, because we protect it because it's for you guys, right? We don't want to just send it out to the entire world, because it's your product, and you've got an interest in keeping it as your own. So yeah, I'll send you the Word doc, Sarah, so that you can do what you want with it. Okay, guys. Hopefully we've covered some good stuff. I think we have in this call, and it's interesting because I didn't really have a whole lot to talk about when I came on. So I'm glad. I really absolutely appreciate you asking the questions. We're off to an awesome start. We've talked to all of our guys all across the country who are making big sales, making many residential sales. There's a couple of applicators, a couple of dealers that I don't want to call out just yet, especially because a couple of them aren't on the call. But we've got some very successful sales campaigns going on right now. We've got guys making lots of residential sales. And when I hear things like you've got, I forget exactly what was said, but 15,000 mailers going out, and you're working real hard on HOA bids and big hospitals and all that kind of stuff, and it's happening all over the country. I feel great about where we are, and I think we're making really good progress. We're really building the brand. We're really making a difference in the products that we use, and by using those products, we're especially on big accounts, we're stopping them from using the products that we don't want used. So there's a little bit of advocacy for you. Every time you make a sale where you're using all of your organic products, think about what they would have been using had you not been involved. So I think that's great. And we're off to a great start. Everybody seems to be doing well. And as I said, if I can help in any way, please let me know. Keep the questions coming. If you haven't ordered your round one product yet, order it or you're going to regret it. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be the end of April, and you're going to be yelling at me as to where it was. And I'm going to say, I was telling you 3 weeks ago you should have ordered it, because it's going to go from winter to summer. And guess what? Lawn care customers don't have any memory of late winters. They're going to be calling you bad names. No, Sarah, he has not. He's one of them. I'm going to go up there and poke him in the eye if he doesn't soon. I know he's been busy, but you're going to want to get that order in, because it's going to take a couple weeks to get to you. And before you know it, all of your customers are going to be calling you bad words because you're going to be late. They forget about late winters. 1 week will pass, and you'll be getting the phone call saying, where the hell are you? And you're going to say, well, it was just snowing last week, and they don't care. That's hopefully working as a group for marketing is something that we've talked about for a long time, and I think it's a great idea. We've thought about trying to put it together. I encourage you always to talk with each other, and if you can go in together on certain things, it absolutely helps with cost. We don't have any one central spot right now, but I see as we go through we're in our third year here, there is an extreme need for marketing support and marketing centralization. And we walk a fine line with the way that we handle marketing because we're not a franchise. So we can't really go out and spearhead that. But it's something that we talk about often, and hopefully we'll be able to get something together. I know next year seems like a long ways away because we're hardly into this year, but there's nothing official right now in regards to pooling our resources for marketing. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't speak with other dealers and other applicators, especially in your area. I don't know who's out near you, Sal. You're kind of I'm trying to think who I can connect you with. Sal, I'll send you an email at the conclusion of this and see if I have any suggestions for that. And Tina Montone is suggesting that she's got a great door hanger design that if anybody else wants to use it, she's willing to have it. She's wrapping up their door hanger campaign. Hopefully you got some decent results from that, Tina. She's saying that you can just swap your logo on there. Tina Montone, the #1 lawn guy, and she's getting calls in from the door hanging campaign. That's awesome. I love to see it. Cool. The lawn guy at ptd.net. The lawn guy at ptd.net. The world famous #1 lawn guy, and the world famous Montone family. I don't know if you're world famous, Tina, but you guys are one of the nicest companies we've ever met. That doesn't mean you're famous. Infamous, maybe, yeah. Guys, all right, go get them. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. Keep it up, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.